Welcome back. I've got a contest entry for Todd Walnuts. He's exceeded 1,500 subs and couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Congratulations, Todd, and thanks for the opportunity to enter your contest. For those of you that may unlikely not know Todd or familiar with his channel, I'll put a link in the description box below. But I highly recommend that if you haven't checked out Todd Walnuts' site, his channel, that you do so. He's a great guy. Okay, his contest, there was two questions. One is what's famous movie was made and released the year you were born? And of course, I always go off script on these things, and I can't just give you just one. But of course, there was a number of films. This is 1965. But I would say that the first up is For a Few Dollars More, spaghetti western with Clint Eastwood. Fantastic film. This would be my number one pick for the year 1965. And then honorable mention uh, would be, from a horror standpoint, this is the one that's near and dear to my heart. I saw it in the drive-in when I was a kid, and it just soaked into my pores, and I never got over it. Was The Skull. Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. Now, a lot of people think this Amicus film was a little slow and talky, and I guess it is, but for me, it just hit home. Saw it at the drive-in, and fell in love with it. Um, there's a lot of other films from '65 that, of course, were great. Planet of the Vampires, Bava's film. Nightmare Castle, Barbara Steele. Doctor Terror's House of Horrors. There's a few for '65 from a horror standpoint that I really like, but I think this one, The Skull, is the one that kind of resonates the most for me. Uh, if you the other maybe other interesting tidbit for some of you is I'm a big Winston Churchill fan. I was born the day after Winston Churchill died, so there you go. Winston Churchill leaves, exit stage left, and then I enter stage right. All right. The second question is what famous movies were shot, or famous movie was shot closest to you? Um, of course, I'm close to New Orleans, so where do you begin? I mean, I think narrowing it down to the most famous film would be simple, Easy Rider. Dennis Hopper, Peter Fonda. What other film captures the counterculture '60s, hippie '60s than Easy Rider? You know, and it pretty much set Dennis Hopper on a path to greatness. The so where the film was shot, at the end of the film, close to the end of the film, you've got the the memorable scene where they're getting all messed up on acid or tripping on whatever and having sex in a cemetery, and that cemetery is in the French Quarter. And I recently visited that cemetery, not like a month ago. I'd never been. Longest time I've lived here, I just never took the time to walk through that cemetery. And there's a lot of interesting things in that cemetery. Nicolas Cage has already bought his grave plot, and he built a pyramid, this huge pyramid for his burial plot, and it stands out incongruously with all these above ground graves. You've got in the middle of this iconic, you know, hundreds and 200-year-old grave sites, you've got a freaking pyramid. So the other person that's of interest, at least to me, that's buried in that cemetery is Paul Morphy, the greatest, other than Bobby Fischer. He was probably the second greatest U.S. chess player of all time. Died in like 1870s. He's buried there. He has a family plot in there as well. He was buried. Paul Morphy's buried there as well. So yeah, that's Easy Rider. And the other film I want to mention, because it's only like 10 minutes from my house, and it's still there, is where Lucio Fulci shot The Beyond. He shot that. No, technically, I guess it's Madisonville area where the house is. Um, but the house that you see in that film is 10 minutes away from me, and of course, the Causeway Bridge is seen throughout this film, and that Causeway Bridge is one of the longest bridges over water. It's like 45, 50 miles across, connecting the north shore of New Orleans to the south shore of New Orleans. Uh, that bridge, of course, the most famous, I think, still that you see is Fulci in his director's chair, sitting with nobody on that bridge. I don't know how they managed to do that. I guess they had the Causeway Police block it off or something, but there's not a car in sight on that bridge, and you see him in his director's chair. That's a cool picture. I've traveled that bridge daily for a long time, back and forth to work, commuting. So yeah, The Beyond was shot 10 minutes from my house. Okay, that's gonna wrap up my little 2-question entry to Toddy Walnuts. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.